Uh, why do people call somebody a pastor or a prophet? I mean, how can somebody in that stage, let's say you're a teacher or you're a pastor in a in a church, or you're the elder of the church. How can they be called? I mean, how can they let others actually call them this name? I mean, we are all equal in
Exactly.
Lord's eyes, but then why do people use these as respectful names to get what? I mean, why do people do that?
Why they do that? I really don't know. Maybe they have a messed up mind. Maybe they have they have pride. I don't know. But the very thing that they do is against the word of God. Calling anyone with the title is wrong. It's against the word of God. Okay, I'm telling you. I will explain to you.
Right.
I will explain to you how and why I say that. Show me, if anyone listening, show me in the Bible, in the New Testament, from the book of Acts, because the New Testament, the new, the covenant started from the book of Acts, if anyone doesn't know, right? The Gospels were the transition period for the new covenant, and the new covenant started operating from the book of Acts, chapter 2, basically, right? Okay. Show me anywhere anyone addressing Paul or Peter or John or any of the fathers of the church, right? We call them
Initial descent.
we call them the
disciples.
fathers, not to call them fathers, but I'm
Yeah.
calling them beginners. They are the beginners. They show me from the word where anywhere anyone calling themselves by the title. You show me. It's always Paul. Once Peter called Paul brother Paul in one of his epistles, right? He said, brother Paul. That's all. We are all brothers. No titles. Calling anyone by the title is wrong, against the Bible. There are certain places in the book of Acts where the gifts are mentioned with the people's names. So let's see how the book of Acts or the first church did it. Now, in the book of Acts chapter 13, verse 1, it says, now in the church that was at Antioch, there were certain prophets and teachers. Then the names are mentioned. Barnabas, Simeon, who was called Niger, and then Lucius of Cyrene and Manan and all that. Now, notice it says that certain prophets and teachers, and then mention Barnabas, Simeon, and so on. They never call them Prophet Barnabas. They never call them Prophet Simeon. The same way in the book of Acts chapter 15, verse 32, right? It says, now Judas and Silas, themselves being prophets also, exhorted and strengthened the brethren with many words. Now notice there as well, Judas and Silas, the names are mentioned separately and then mentioned who they are or what gift that they operate on. Prophets, right? They never call them Prophet Judas, Prophet Silas, right? And also there's another good example in Acts chapter 21, right? Acts chapter 21, verse 8. It says, on the next day, we who were Paul's companions departed and came to Caesarea and entered the house of Philip, the evangelist, who was one of the seven. Now notice there, Philip, the evangelist, not evangelist Philip, right? And then verse 10, it says, and as we stayed many days, a certain prophet named Agabus came down to Judea, from Judea. It says, a certain prophet named Agabus. It was not mentioned there like a prophet Agabus. No. They never addressed anyone by their title. Prophet Agabus, prophet so and so, prophet and. Nowadays, this is what is happening. But in the book of Acts and the first church, they did it this way. They mentioned the gift, but also they mention the name later on. They never attached the title to the name, which means the gifts were operated by men and they were called prophets, but they were never addressed by their title, right? The title is mentioned but not addressed. These are gifts, not titles. And one other thing, Matthew chapter 23 verse 8. Let me read from the Bible again, right, if you allow me, because I need to explain this from the Bible. Jesus says this. He speaks about Pharisees, right? I hope you read the preceding verses, but I will read from verse 7. They require greetings in the marketplaces and to be called by men Rabbi, Rabbi. That means teacher. But means you, right? It means Jesus' disciples. He's telling the disciples. But you do not be called Rabbi. Rabbi means teacher. Okay? For one is your teacher, the Christ, and you are all brethren. Okay? And Jesus is speaking about teacher here because specifically to mention the Pharisees. Right. But this applies to all other gifts as well. Not only the teacher. Do not be called by pastor. Do not be called by prophet. Do not be called by evangelist. Because these are gifts.
Yeah.
Right? One is your apostle. Right? Jesus. One is your prophet. Jesus. One is your evangelist. Jesus. One is your pastor. Jesus. One is your teacher. The Christ. Okay, that's all. And also it shows the following verse. I can address this at this time. Do not call anyone on earth your father. Right?
Yeah, I see some church, they have, reverence and all that. They
use.
Reverence.
And also the latest trend is that there are spiritual fathers. Okay? And now, is it biblical? Is it biblical? No. Categorically no, because Matthew chapter 23 verse 9 specifically says, do not call anyone on earth your father. You can have mentors. You can have a person spiritually guiding you. You can treat him as a father in a sense, that respectfully. We are not saying not to respect. We need to respect each other, right? But you can have somebody that mentoring you, guiding you, praying for you, and you are accountable to that person. You must have somebody like that. Every servant of God must have somebody like that. But Jesus specifically forbid us calling anyone on earth except your biological father, except him. If you call anyone on earth your father, don't do that. Because one is your father, he who is in heaven. So these people who are calling, he's my father, and asking others to call them fathers are doing actually what is against the word of God and what against Jesus himself. He himself forbade them to speak.